Go Kansas City. Karen, how long have you been following my stuff? It's been years, hasn't it? Years and years. Yeah, that's cool. That's when this number thing started revealing itself to me about 8 years ago, and it's taken this long to unfold, fully unfold. Yeah, Ramana's the guy. He's my guy anyway. Callie, come on. Yeah, yeah, those guys, again, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of just blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, can you get to the point, please? It was Krishnamurti. I was doing the YouTube searching thing, and I came across, before Ramana Maharshi, I came across Krishnamurti, and he was talking directly about thought. And I'd never heard even the Buddhists talk exactly, precisely about the problem of thought. So I was like, okay, this is starting to align with my experience. And then a video after watching Krishnamurti and David Bohm for hours, I came across Ramana Maharshi video and a biography, and it was just like, that's it. So Krishnamurti was a stepping stone to Ramana Maharshi. And then Ramana Maharshi just said, yeah, it's thought. Just silence the voice in your head, and that's it. It's like, okay, I'll do that then. Okay, you're too noisy, sweetie. You're gonna have to go where you're not right in front of the mic, okay? Yeah, over there. Talking about the solution is not the solution. I, I think this is all going to end up in anarchy. All these institutions, these systems of thought, they're all collapsing simultaneously. It's because they're built on this model of the thing nothing model, which is adversarial. Like the legal system is the opposites, right? and the government, opposites. They're opposing each other. They're not working with each other. They're other thans, not other ofs. So the entire system is built on a dualistic adversarial model. And these systems end up, they have the intention of running something like operating society, but they end up, because they're adversarial, they end up just fighting themselves. So they end up spending their energy. The system itself generate uses all of its energy to just keep the generation of the system going. So they're set up to be adversarial, and that's what they end up doing. They end up just fighting internally, and it loses any effectiveness to do what it was planned to do. And my model fixes all of this. It's not, it should be a model of not other thans. A system that is built with, to operate, to function as conflict within itself, obviously is going to rip itself apart. So that's the legal system, the monetary system, and the governmental system. They're all collapsing simultaneously. So, yeah, it's going to be anarchy and civil war and every man for themselves. And no one in academia will listen to me because they're too vested in their own models, and they can't admit or even see, they won't even admit it to themselves, that this one's correct and mine's wrong, and therefore I should say mine's wrong and this one's correct and we should all do this. No one seems to be capable of changing their mind and seeing what's true. Yeah. Busy being played by, pulling the strings. Like collecting coins in Mario Brothers. Are you especially funny today? Is that a reference to my friend John that I've been trolling? Poor John. I'm sure he means well, but he's just completely fucking lost. He doesn't even realize that his own theory has fallen into the trap that his theory is trying to fix. He can't even recognize it. I have no I have no patience for guys like that. I don't know what it is, but John especially, it's just like, how can you be this freaking blind and yet thinking that you're on it? Like you got this case. It's like, well, what's the answer then? Give me the answer within a couple of paragraphs, and let's go. Let's start. Yeah, he's not wrong. That's the thing, is that he's not wrong, but he's not comprehensive. He's not wrong, but he's not right. So that's almost the worst, is being middle, because he says a lot of things that aren't wrong, but then all those things, when you try to put it together into like each piece is a puzzle and you try to put it together, all of those statements, you put those pieces, try to put them together into a puzzle, and they just don't fit. It's just a bunch of loose puzzle pieces that in the end you're you haven't put two of them together. So it's basically more Maya. That's Maya at her peak game, is to have people believe that they're following the truth and just give them little bits of truth, but then in the end it leads nowhere. It's a dog chasing its tail, but it sure was fun chasing your tail, right? You get a bit dizzy, but I think that's probably part of the fun too. And he won't listen to me. Go Kansas City. You notice that all the festivities that go along with it, it's funny because it's actually kind of ridiculous. A bunch of grown men trying to get an oddly shaped ball past the other guys to go across a line. So, but with all the festivities and that that go on, it makes it appear as though it's important, right? It's not like, and this is the same with all ceremony, is that it's projecting that this is really important. Like when priests get in their fancy robes and do all these really important things, and their great big cathedrals and whatever, it's projecting that it's important. It's not we're doing this because it's important and we need to show it's important. It's no, we're all just pretending that it's important with all this hubbub going on. Hubbub. It's all just it's all pretend. Everything's make believe, but we do it really well. It's ridiculous, but I love it. It's an excuse to watch people, humans that are in their peak physical condition, just pounding the shit out of each other. Yeah, yeah. We like flashing lights and loud noises, and it's hard to not pay attention to what's yelling and screaming and like, look at me, look at me. It's hard not to look at something like that. They'll still probably be playing NFL football while there's a nuclear war going on. Like, it's just ridiculous, right? People are starving, having food riots, and they'll still trying to be playing NFL football. Thanks for dropping by, Karen.
There she is.
Be noisy again, aren't you?
Say hi, Mama. Hi.
She's taking care of me. She's still getting along. So are you. Hello, solution seeker. Solution finder. It's as real as everything you can sense. And as unreal. I as long as a person is able to stay here, I think that's as long as I'll be gone. Like, so last year was in Canada was the biggest fire season by like a factor of like 5 that we've ever experienced in history, and this year is going to be worse. But last year, my company wasn't operating, so I don't have a frame of reference to know how much work we're getting. What's it gonna be like? Like, I probably won't know until like a week before I go, and then I could be gone all summer, but it's all dependent upon who I can get to stay at the house because it's a big country, and Saskatchewan, where I expect to be doing most of my work and where Paige lives, is a 16-hour drive from here. So I don't really want to be every 2 weeks coming back here for a week and then going back out for 2 weeks. So short version is I probably wouldn't know like before a couple of weeks before I even got a job that I'm going to a job. So it'd be pretty not a lot of warning lead time. So but it's I mean it's a perfect place for spiritual practice. It's a magical place. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. He'll be sitting here with Callie on his lap instead of me. Well, we'd have to negotiate. You'd have to stay longer. Like it would have to be something like a month or something like that. If I were to pay for 2 tickets to come out here, then it would have to be worth my while. So it would have to be like you'd have to stay here for about a month, I would say, minimum. But I wouldn't have a problem with your significant other coming along, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if you could drive, it would even be better, right? Like I would pay for your gas. That would be fantastic. Are you kidding me? Like, if I can go hard for a month, that's a lot of coin. That's good. Yeah, that would be great. And then if you drove, like I don't have a really an extra vehicle. So if you drove, I could pay for the gas and then you guys would have a vehicle here, which would be, of course, there's biking trails and hiking trails and fishing. I don't know what you're into, but there's hiking, biking, and fishing. That'd be fantastic. And just a word of warning, probably half the days are going to be smoky. It's just probably, well, be able to. What does that mean? Like, you can drive as long as there's roads. Like, even if it takes you 3 days to get here, whatever, it's your choice. Be nice to have a vehicle, though, wouldn't it? Like, I drove from Nova Scotia to Southern California. Yeah, keep it in mind. It'd be fantastic. It'd be a great holiday for you too. Yeah, it's not like the airport's like over there. It's still still about a 3 hour drive to pick you up from the airport even. Just little. It's just a little country. In Canada, we have forest fires bigger than that. It's funny and not at the same time. Light pollution. What are you talking to me? There's next to zero light pollution out here. Oh yeah, if you've got a fancy telescope. Bet you do. Yeah, on clear days, it's yeah, there's no light. My nearest neighbors are 200 meters away. And there's two. There's one person over there 200 meters away, and there's another house 200 meters over that way, and nothing over that way, and nothing over that way. So there's no light interference, light pollution. But there might be air pollution. What do you think about my theory that those telescopes are actually projecting? Because I'm coming to realize that everything just appears when the narrative requires it to. When you look for something, it appears, but it's not there before it appears. So this is a tool that projects the world, and then a telescope is its own projection. I don't believe there's any way to know whether a tool, a machine, is projecting or detecting. I don't think there's any detecting. I don't think it's there before you look at it, which is basically what quantum physics was saying, right? It's not even really a part of your world. If a person needs to look through a piece of machinery to reveal what it's revealing, then that's not a part of your world. It's really not a part of your world. Yeah, collapse the wave function. I guess that's a way of saying makes it appear real. So in they call those virtual particles, right? So wouldn't that be the potential that my model is referring to? Mm. But it's immediate, right? We if time kind of throws a wrench in the whole thing. It's immediate. This your world is immediately your senses. It there's no there's really no time involved in this, which is trippy to get your head around. So to me, the wave function is experience word, without a word attached to it. And then the collapse of a wave function is when you place a word onto an experience, then it appears as though that is a separately existing object in space. See the way they understand the collapse of the wave function, it's all to do with physical location, isn't it? Like you know where it is. The collapse of the wave function is the measurement of it relating to something else, but that's all relative. All of it's relative. So the wave function in a way is just pure mind without without the physical world maybe. I think the wave function is a mathematical expression of mind. And here's something that I learned that I can't believe I didn't know this before is that an electron doesn't contain anything, right? An electron is one of these elementary particles that doesn't contain quarks. And I know why is because electron is a completely mathematical construct. There's no such thing as a particle that is an electron. like I read or heard somewhere that if an electron were to be expanded to the size of the Earth, that it's so perfectly spherical that this formation would be as big as a sugar molecule in comparison on the surface of the Earth. That's how perfectly spherical it is, which means that it's completely mathematical, right? That little indentation is the part that we think is the physical, is physical. That's the only thing that makes it not exactly perfectly mathematical. Yeah, electrons are completely theoretical. They're exactly mathematical entities. There's nothing, there's no physical electron. So but here we now the question is that a sphere, a hollow sphere, or is it like a solid ball? Because if an electron is solid, yeah. So if an electron is a solid actual ball, yeah, exactly. So materialists are they're fucking stupid. Like they really are. They're fucking stupid. How can something how can there be a ball that's just a thing? It's all 100% contains no space in it. It's all matter. Well, of course that's a singularity because that would be infinitely it would be only mass, right? So an electron is a singularity if it's a ball because it's all mass, right? It would be all mass. There's no space in a ball. So if there's a thing, anything that's just a thing, then it's infinite gravity. But then if it's a hollow thing, well then what's inside of it? That none of this makes any fucking sense. But they're just running with it. It's so fucking just reason, just normal reason doesn't it just reveals it all to be bullshit. Oh, and it's looking through the machines that has everyone confused. Yeah. And that's why we shouldn't be creating electricity here. Like it doesn't even belong in this realm. It doesn't belong here. Yep. Yeah, they're trapped because they don't realize that the description is that which projects the illusion. So the description is the illusion, and then they use more description to try to describe the illusion, which just projects more illusion. Turtles, turtles, turtles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love turtles. all the way, baby. We'll the turtle that we like, we'll just paint the shell like it looks like so it looks like a stone, and then we'll just call it a rock, and then all the turtles can sit on the rock, but it's actually still just a turtle shell, but we've painted it to look like a rock. Yeah, putting spirit back in. We got to put the spirit back in to the equation. Science is a failed experiment. They just don't know that they failed yet. Even though their very system has pointed out that they failed, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. It shows why they're failing, but they don't they don't understand. They refuse to understand. Yeah, hypothesis begins with an assumption, but they think that somehow it's going to be proven by fact. The process begins with an assumption, but it doesn't end with an assumption or a metaphor. It ends with logical reasoning, but there's no logical reasoning that gave rise to the assumption that started the logical reasoning off in the first place. So logical reasoning begins always with an assumption out of fucking nowhere. Just a thought comes in out of fucking nowhere. And then you start your logical investigation. And then they think that it's going to conclude itself with the logical argument itself. It doesn't conclude the way it started, with assumption and at least metaphor. Yeah, well, that's Maya's magic trick, is to just accept it like a fundamentalist Christian just accepts that the every word in the Bible is the word of God, and therefore you just take it on faith and start from there. 1 + 1 = 2 is a belief that's started with an assumption, that's based on an assumption. And the fear of dying is the fear of non-existence, which is the illusion that's propagated by the thing nothing incorrect dualistic model. There's no such thing as nothing. So if my model is adapted and taught, like in school and at home, as the language that portrays truth, then there's no fear of death, because you cannot not exist. There's no fear of non-existence, because non-existence doesn't exist. So these arguments, these philosophical arguments, have gone on for millennia. And I know why. It's because there literally isn't language that accommodates a model that describes it all. But with my fundamental model of reality, now there's actually language that makes the final theory accessible to everyone. Like there's literally hasn't been language within the English language anyway that allows for the model to actually be produced. Like if there's no way in which to communicate through the language provided the way reality is, then you're going to have these arguments, one argument trying to argue against another argument that they're both incomplete. So they argue amongst each other. Mine's right, yours is wrong, mine's right, where they're all wrong because the language isn't there to make it right. So this is why they just keep debating amongst themselves using the wrong language, incomplete language, and they don't recognize that the language isn't there. The language doesn't exist in order to describe reality. And now it does. Like, again, if I had hair, I would be pulling it out because it's so obvious to me that all of this that I just said. It's the conclusion, right? Systems of thought will not conclude themselves. You have to realize that the system of thought is itself delusion. So then therefore you transcend the delusion by silencing the voice in your head. But the path to get there for some of these really deluded academics might be through their delusion, right? You have to come to someone in a delusion speaking their language, right? You have to come to them in their delusion to try to break them out. But it's really difficult. It's like I said, it's probably the deepest settled delusion. The biggest cult in the world is academia. And it's going to be really, 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 really difficult to break someone out of that delusion, that cult, because everyone's in it, like the entire fucking world. It's too difficult. If all you've done is learned how to think from kindergarten to postdoc, then to try to stop that process is fucking near impossible. So they just shrug their shoulders and just give up. It's too difficult. They can't do it. The cult that no one's in, the cult that nobody knows they're in is the most effective cult. I mean, just look at the state of humanity. That should be, I shouldn't have to provide any evidence that humanity's in a state of delusion, because look at us. Look at humanity. We're en route to destroy ourselves and all life on the planet. No one's afraid of being crazy because they're all fucking crazy. It maybe for sane people, we don't want to go insane, but the sane people, like the insane people, don't realize they're insane, right? So how can you be afraid of something that you don't even recognize? They revel in their madness. Then, like when I present something as obvious as, all right, so I have a worldview and you have a worldview, and they're basically 180 degrees off. But I can control my mind. I can stop my thoughts, and you can't for more than a few seconds at a time. So by this reasoning, who would be more apt to be insane? The person that can't control their mind or the person that can control their mind? Who's going to be the sanest in this model? The person that can control their mind or the person that can't control their mind? Well, the person that can't control their mind is insane. It's this simple. Unless you're the insane one, and then the insane voice in your head will say, well, that doesn't make sense, or let's just ignore that. Well, that's it. It's their identity. That's who they are, right? They know intuitively that they're not the body, and every human is in this state. Intuitively, we know we're not the body. So then what are we? Well, then we must be our thoughts. So if someone's challenging your thoughts and your belief systems, then that's challenging your very identity, right? Yourself, which cannot not exist. So yeah, they're just going to defend their belief systems like a cornered wild animal is defending their life. It doesn't matter what logical, reasonable, not logical, but reasonable evidence that you're providing to them. They're insane. So they can't they're mad. So they can't see what is obvious because they're crazy. But they've got a PhD, so obviously they can't be crazy. It's fucking it's fucked. Oh. Yeah, not angry mad. Mad isn't irrational. That's right. Nice. maybe. I know that you could catch a ride with Bruce to town. He probably goes to town every 2 or 3 days. So you could definitely catch a ride with him, but I don't know if he would just let someone drive his vehicle. I don't know. Well, I think that concludes the satsang for today. I never know how to stop these things, so I'll just stop. See you next week.